You know, I think my Necron Lords might be slightly jealous because in this Necron Showcase video, I'm showing you some real Lords of War. It's coming right up.
Necrons!
Nick speaking, and welcome to this video, the 7th video in a series where I'm showcasing my entire army. And today we're on the big boys, the Lords of War. Now, I started playing Necrons over 20 years ago with the 3rd edition codex. There were no Lords of War in this codex. Actually, it took quite a few years after I was playing for the Lords of War to actually come into effect. However, we did have the monolith in this codex under heavy support, so let's start there. So in 3rd edition, all we had was one vehicle, this one, the Necron monolith. Now, even though we only had one tank to choose from, this tank was really good. It was difficult to kill, it could do a lot of damage, and you could teleport units through the chamber, allowing you to redo your reanimation protocols, or as it was called back then, wheel-be-backs. I built my one so that the guns were loose, so you could move them around, and this door goes up and down with the steps as well. A really cool miniature and really making good use of the green plastic that we had back in 3rd edition. Now, I've just realised after recording 7 videos that I think I got these codices round the wrong way. I've been calling this 6th edition, but actually I think this was the 7th edition codex, and this one, which I've been calling the 7th edition codex, I think was the 8th edition codex. It's very confusing. There's been so many years, so many releases. Well, I think I've got that right now anyway. But the point I'm making here is that in 7th edition, we had a special detachment available to us called Living Tomb. This detachment was 2 monoliths and an obelisk, which I'll talk more about in a minute. However, at this point, I only had 1 monolith, so I built myself a second one. 2 monoliths and an obelisk was a lot of fun to play and a lot of fun to see on the table. However, before we look at the obelisk, let's have a look at the new monolith that was released in 9th edition. Now, I'm a little bit mixed in my opinions of this miniature. One side of me thinks it is awesome, the detail is amazing, and the other side of me thinks I think I like the older one better. Again, I think it's because I grew up with the older miniature. A lot of newer players will probably think the old monolith looks rubbish and the new one looks much better. I agree, the new one does look really good. I mean, the detail that's on it is just absolutely fantastic. You've got the canoptic creature on the back there, and yeah, I mean, you can't get much more detail on it. It does look very, very cool. You've got this black stone material just on the top there and also on the inside. Bonus tip, you 100% have to paint this before you assemble it. Now, I have actually magnetised mine, so I can take the steps off and I can take that door off and put the different door that it comes with on. Plus, and more importantly, I've magnetised the weapons because we had a new weapon option with this monolith, the Death Ray. However, the kit does come with the other guns as well, and I did manage to magnetise mine so I can have both weapon options. I've got a link in the description where you can find out how you can magnetise your monolith should you wish to. Now, one key difference with this model over the original is the introduction of a base, and not just any old base. I mean, this is a huge base. So to bring my old miniatures in line with the new one, I got some bases and I magnetised them. So let me get my base. There you go, one base with magnets on, and then we've got magnets in the bottom. There we go. One base on my old monolith. When I first saw pictures of this new monolith, I thought it was going to be much bigger than the old one, but actually it's pretty much the same size. I have considered converting the old miniatures to have Death Ray weapons, but I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to play them as Death Ray weapons and tell my opponent that's what they are. But yeah, Necron monoliths, awesome miniatures, I love them. Now this codex was the first codex to introduce Lord of War miniatures, and in particular the first one was the Tesseract Vault and the Obelisk. Now this miniature was another dual kit, so you could make either one of those miniatures with the one kit. Of course, I magnetised mine so I could have both options. I only have one miniature, so I can't show you both at the same time, but I'm just about to change this into the Tesseract Vault for you. But this is the Obelisk. I've got a load of tiny little scarabs on the base, which were included in the kit. Once you open this up, there's loads of scarabs inside. And of course these have the canoptic creatures on the body, which of course they then followed that design into the monolith. It almost looks like a floating monolith, and the kit is designed to be as cost effective as possible. Effectively you get 4 sprues and they're exactly the same on each sprue to make up this kit. So yeah, GW did well there. However, they still charged a fortune for this kit. Probably why I've only got one. Right, now let's change it to a Tesseract Vault.
The number is legion, death is their name. It's eternal doom, what you willing to play. The power of stars, rain is divine. The flesh is weak, your world will be mine. Necrons!
And there you go, there it is as a Tesseract Vault. What an awesome miniature this is. Now if you want to learn how to magnetise this miniature for yourself, there is a link to my tutorial that I made in the description below. Right, on to the next Lord of War, the Necron Pylon, now known as the Gauss Pylon, because, well, Forge World have introduced some new Pylon miniatures. So yeah, this is my very first Forge World miniature that I bought. I went to Games Day back in 2002, I believe it was, and I bought myself a Pylon there. It was £85, and I have to be honest, I love it. I mean, it looks so good. It's such a cool miniature. I don't play it very often. I've had it since 3rd edition, and I've probably played it maybe 5 times, but you know, it's really nice to have. And of course I've got mine so that I can move it. Actually, it comes out of the base for storage, and not only that, but you can slide it around. So if I can get it to do it, it's usually quite loose. There we go. So I can actually slide it, so you can reposition it if you want to. But yeah, I had a lot of fun building and painting this one. I really liked how it took the monolith crystal, but you've actually got plastic inside the crystal. That looks really good. Something like that in the monolith would be really awesome. Yeah, I love it. Very, very cool. I probably should try and play it a little bit more, but it's really nice to have. Now I do have another Pylon as well. It's by TT Combat. It's actually a piece of terrain, but potentially could stand in as a Pylon. It is a little bit smaller, but it's bigger than the Sentry Pylons which I showed you in the fortification video. So if you don't want to spend all that money on this, you can buy this from TT Combat really cheaply. It's made from MDF. I can't remember how much this one was. Around £10, let's say, but certainly a lot cheaper than buying one of these. So yeah, if you want one for your army just to experiment and play with your friends, then TT Combat could be your friend. Right, now we're going to one of the newer Forge World miniatures that they've released. As you can see, I don't have too many Forge World Necron miniatures at the moment. I'm hoping to change that soon. But I do have this guy here, the Seraptic Heavy Construct. Now this miniature here I remember buying because I just got divorced and I had a bonus from work, and I thought, what can I spend my bonus on? And Forge World released this miniature, so I quickly bought it, and I don't regret it at all. It isn't a cheap miniature, but I had a lot of fun with it, and I played it quite a lot actually back in 8th edition. Not so much in 9th edition, but a lot in 8th edition when it was really good. I remember the lists where people were playing 3 Seraptic constructs. My bonus wasn't that big, I only got 1. But I did buy the extra weapons for it. I have magnetised the weapons, so they do come off. This is the big weapon, and then we've got this one here, which I think is called the Singularity. I can't remember what they're called now, but basically I have both weapon options. Actually, I did quite well with this order because they accidentally sent me 2 weapons. I can't remember which one it was. I think it's this one. I've got 2 of these. So basically, in my bits box, I've got 2 of these weapons. Maybe for a conversion in the future, we'll see. But yeah, the Heavy Construct, I love this miniature. Such an awesome miniature. I'm hoping that Forge World will change the rules at some point, because at the moment, for 600 points and only a 5+ invulnerable save, he dies too quickly. Plus, he doesn't do as many mortal wounds as he used to in 8th edition. Again, I made a magnetising tutorial video for this guy, so if you're interested in watching that, then I will link that up in the description below for you. Right, let's move on to my final miniature in the showcase of my entire army, and I've saved the best till last. It is, of course, the Silent King. 9th edition brought a lot of new aesthetics to the army, and the Silent King is no exception to that. It is very different. It's quite unusual in its format as well, with the little menhirs as part of his unit. The Silent King himself at the top of this sort of throne. Of course, I have magnetised mine. I'm going to make a little plaque for him to stand on. Actually, I've already made half of it, but I haven't finished it yet. We've also got little triarchs in there. Both of those are actually magnetised, and I've magnetised it in between so I can take the model apart if I want to, but I did that mainly for storage. Having said that, now I store my miniatures in boxes. This guy just goes into an 18-litre box, and I've got magnets on the base there. But what a cool miniature, and I had a lot of fun painting him. I did make a painting tutorial, so if you're interested in seeing me paint this guy, then I'll link that video up for you in the description below. And that brings me to the end of my Necron showcase. Of course, my army is going to expand even further over the next few years, and I'm sure I'll make an update video at some point. If you didn't watch any of the previous videos, then here's a playlist for you to check out, and here's another video that YouTube thinks you would like to watch next.